You live in your body every day, but do you actually know how it works? Let's put your brain to the test. Question 1. Which organ is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body? C. Heart. Question 2. What is the largest organ of the human body? B. Skin. Question 3. How many bones are there in an adult human body? B. 206. Question 4. Which gas do humans need to breathe in to survive? D. Oxygen. Question 5. Where in the body is the smallest bone located? A. Ear. Question 6. What is the main function of red blood cells? B. Carry oxygen. Question 7. Which part of the brain controls balance and coordination? C. Cerebellum. Question 8. What is the name of the tube that connects the mouth to the stomach? B. Esophagus. Question 9. Which organ filters waste from the blood to produce urine? C. Kidneys. Question 10. What is the hard outer layer of a tooth called? D. Enamel. Question 11. How many chambers does the human heart have? C. 4. Question 12. What is the strongest muscle in the human body based on its weight? B. Masseter jaw. Question 13. Which substance gives skin and hair its pigment? B. Melanin. Question 14. What type of joint is the shoulder? C. Ball and socket joint. Question 15. Which organ produces insulin? B. Pancreas. Question 16. What is the common name for the patella? B. Kneecap. Question 17. In which part of the body would you find the femur? B. Thigh. Question 18. What are the building blocks of proteins? C. Amino acids. Question 19. Which part of the eye is responsible for color vision? C. Retina, cones. Question 20. What is the normal resting heart rate for an adult? B. 60 to 100 bpm. Question 21. What is the main function of the large intestine? B. Absorb water. Question 22. Which vitamin is produced when skin is exposed to sunlight? D. Vitamin D. Question 23. How many lungs does a healthy human have? B. 2. Question 24. What is the name of the master gland in the endocrine system? C. Pituitary. Question 25. Which part of the blood is responsible for clotting? B. Platelets. Question 26. What is the primary function of the cerebellum? C. Balance. Question 27. What are the tiny air sacs in the lungs called? B. Alveoli. Question 28. Which bone protects the brain? C. Skull. Question 29. How many ribs are in a standard human rib cage? C. 24. Question 30. What is the longest bone in the human body? C. Femur. Question 31. Which organ is responsible for producing bile? C. Liver. Question 32. What is the transparent front part of the eye called? C. Cornea. Question 33. Which body system includes the heart and blood vessels? B. Circulatory. Question 34. What is the name of the pigment that gives eyes their color? A. Melanin. Question 35. Which organ stores bile until it is needed for digestion? C. Gallbladder. Question 36. What is the basic structural unit of the nervous system? B. Neuron. Question 37. How many teeth does a typical adult human have? C. 32. Question 38. What is the flap of tissue that prevents food from entering the windpipe? C. Epiglottis. Question 39. Which type of blood vessel carries blood away from the heart? B. Arteries. Question 40. What is the most common blood type in humans? C. O positive. Question 41. Which part of the ear is responsible for balance? C. Semicircular canals. Question 42. What is the name of the bone in your upper arm? C. Humerus. Question 43. Which organ acts as the body's primary filter for toxins? A. Liver. Question 44. What is the liquid part of blood called? C. Plasma. Question 45. How many vertebrae are there in the human spinal column? B. 33. Question 46. Which nutrient is the body's main source of energy? C. Carbohydrates. Question 47. Where are red blood cells produced? C. Bone marrow. Question 48. What is the medical term for the voice box? C. Larynx. Question 49. Which organ is part of both the digestive and endocrine systems? B. Pancreas. Question 50. What is the primary function of white blood cells? C. Fight infection. Question 51. Which acid is found in the human stomach to help digestion? C. Hydrochloric acid. Question 52. What are the three small bones in the middle ear called? C. Ossicles. Question 53. Which part of the brain is responsible for high-level thinking? B. Cerebrum. Question 54. What is the protective outer layer of the brain called? B. Meninges. Question 55. Which organ in the body is able to regenerate itself? C. Liver. Question 56. What is the name of the windpipe? C. Trachea. Question 57. Where is the Achilles tendon located? C. Heel. Question 58. How many lobes does the right lung have? C. 3. Question 59. What is the term for a person with two different colored eyes? B. Heterochromia. Question 60. Which protein makes up the majority of hair and nails? C. Keratin. Question 61. What is the normal body temperature in degrees Fahrenheit? B. 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 62. What is the primary function of the kidneys? B. Filter blood. Question 63. Which hormone is known as the fight or flight hormone? C. Adrenaline. Question 64. What is the largest part of the human brain? A. Cerebrum. Question 65. Which muscle group is located on the front of the thigh? B. Quadriceps. Question 66. What is the name of the fluid that lubricates joints? C. Synovial fluid. Question 67. Which organ produces the hormone melatonin? B. Pineal gland. Question 68. How many pairs of chromosomes do humans typically have? B. 23. Question 69. What is the medical name for the shoulder blade? C. Scapula. Question 70. Which part of the tooth contains nerves and blood vessels? C. Pulp. Question 71. What is the name of the bone in the human forehead? C. Frontal bone. Question 72. Which body system is responsible for eliminating metabolic waste? C. Excretory. Question 73. What is the anatomical name for the collarbone? B. Clavicle. Question 74. Which organ is affected by the disease hepatitis? C. Liver. Question 75. How many main types of taste buds do humans have? C. 5. Question 76. What is the name of the large muscle used for breathing? C. Diaphragm. Question 77. Which part of the brain controls involuntary actions like heart rate? C. Medulla oblongata. Question 78. What are the building blocks of the human body? C. Cells. Question 79. Where is the pituitary gland located? C. Brain. Question 80. What is the medical term for the funny bone? C. Ulnar nerve. Question 81. Which vitamin is crucial for blood clotting? D. Vitamin K. Question 82. What is the space between two neurons called? C. Synapse. Question 83. Which type of muscle is found in the heart? C. Cardiac muscle. Question 84. What is the name of the bone that makes up the lower jaw? B. Mandible. Question 85. Which organ is the primary site of nutrient absorption? B. Small intestine. Question 86. How many taste buds does the average human tongue have? B. Around 10,000. Question 87. What is the medical name for the shin bone? B. Tibia. Question 88. Which part of the blood carries carbon dioxide back to the lungs? A. Plasma. Question 89. What is the protective liquid around a fetus called? B. Amniotic fluid. Question 90. Which organ produces the hormone glucagon? B. Pancreas. Question 91. What is the term for the soft spot on a baby's head? B. Fontanelle. Question 92. Which part of the ear is the eardrum? C. Tympanic membrane. Question 93. What are the vessels that connect arteries and veins called? C. Capillaries. Question 94. What is the name of the light-sensitive layer at the back of the eye? C. Retina. Question 95. Which hormone regulates the sleep-wake cycle? B. Melatonin. Question 96. What is the name of the bone at the very base of the spine? B. Coccyx. Question 97. Which organ is the primary site for the destruction of old red blood cells? B. Spleen. Question 98. What is the medical term for short-sightedness? B. Myopia. Question 99. Which muscle is the largest in the human body? B. Gluteus maximus. Question 100. What is the name of the process by which cells divide? B. Mitosis.